Good afternoon and welcome to the Matt and Alecia show. We're here today to talk to you about business, life, and marriage.
Yes.
Alecia and I come on every Friday to share our life with you, to share how we do life together, how we're building multiple businesses at the same time, and how we operate in our personal lives, in our business life, and how we don't agree with this work-life balance, but the one life. And keeping everything together, flowing in and out. We don't think that you should have balance. We think you should have total control of everything.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about family today.
Mm-hmm.
Family and business.
Two things that a lot of people say don't go together.
Yeah. So there's multiple different facets. I mean, we all have different family backgrounds. Some of us come from great families, full of love. You were raised up really well. Some of us come from broken families. Some of us come from just crazy families. There's totally different mixes of families out there.
Yes.
But at some point in your life, you're going to run into, issues with, hey, where am I spending my time? What are my priorities? And it's something that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree, Alecia, that, like a lot of people are like, hey, I want to start building this thing, but my parents or my family or my siblings or maybe extended family are just really, they're in need right now, and I have to give it to them, and it's taken away from business. So how do you deal with all of that? And that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so I like what Matt was saying about, like, sometimes you give yourself an excuse. You're like, oh, well, I would love to create this business. I would love to do this thing for myself. However, I need to do this thing for my other family member. And, I've been guilty of this. I still do this. I will put other people's needs before mine, but at the end of the day, what that creates is resent, because you aren't taking care of yourself on levels that you need to be taken care of on. And so it's trying to figure out, when do I give myself, into what areas do I give them, and in what quantities and what time. Boundaries are super helpful. So
I'm going to jump in real quick. So one thing Alecia just said right there that is huge, that we kind of just ran over, is the quantity of time and amount of time that you spend with them. One of the big things that I believe is quality time.
Right.
And Alecia and I have talked about this before, is that you could spend a bunch of time with your family, and at the end of that time, whether that's a whole day, a whole week, maybe it's holiday season, stuff like that, but you don't feel like you had that much quality time where you knew each other better, you shared those quality memories with each other, because maybe a lot of it was drinking beer, maybe a lot of it was in front of the TV.
Or maybe you're doing something super stressful, like errands and rush hour traffic.
Yeah. Or maybe, it's that, you spend it all doing cleaning up or the house, doing projects. So what we're talking about here is, you can actually limit the time you spend with your family, and have better quality time with them.
I think also kind of what you're saying is, a lot of us think it's either or. I have a business or I spend time with my family. I can't have both. But that's not necessarily true.
No, it's not.
So you have to have boundaries both with your family when you're like, hey, it's work time, I gotta get work done. And then also boundaries when it comes to your business. Like, hey, it's 9 p.m. Maybe I should go home and spend some time with people I like.
And so it sounds like a couple different things. It sounds like time blocking that out or scheduling that out, being in control of your time.
Yes.
And then beingness. And being there 100% wherever you are. If you're at work, you are 100% committed to that work. Like I said, talking about that quality time, you're giving your intention, you're giving your thought, emotion, and effort. You're giving everything of you to work at that time.
Right.
But when you're with your loved ones, when you're with your family, when you're spending that quality time, you are with them 100%, not worried about other things.
Yeah, and everyone's guilty of this. You get on your phone and you're like, oh, what's on Facebook? What's on Instagram? What does my email say? I need to Google this thing that I think is super important right now, but you're not actually spending time with the people you love because we're so addicted to our cell phones, which is, a good thing and a bad thing all at once.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today, because a lot of people, they want your family comes first. All these different sayings that, hey, if you look at the core of those, where they come from, what they mean, and how you apply them, I don't necessarily believe that all the time. Family is important, and the loved ones who care for you and want the best for you, and you share those experiences with. Yes, there's a time and a place to spend that with them. And I believe that you should, right? But I think that spending a ton of time, wasted time, where it's not quality, who is benefiting from that?
Yeah, so one conversation that Matt and I have like kind of often is like I have this guilt that I'm like, I'm not with my family 400 hours a day, and then Matt brings my attention back to like, if you're successful in making, like if you're doing well, you can give back when they need it, like if you're successful, you can I can pay for my nieces or nephews' college fund, or I could pay for a medical bill if I needed to. So I'm giving back in a different way, but not necessarily in the way that we're always taught to.
Exactly. And so this is something that we've come in encounter with quite a bit. We know other people in our circles who've encountered it quite a bit. And so we just thought it was important to touch on kind of this family topic, the family and business. How do you operate both? How do you control both of those? And really it comes down to timing.
Right.
It comes down to beingness and being there 100%. We're going to take some time off around 4th of July. We're going to spend some time with family. We're going to be there 100%. We're going to spend that quality time with them. And then after we're done, we're going to jump back into business and we're going to do it 100%.
Right. So I like what Matt's saying about like intention. You have to be there, because sometimes you tell yourself, oh, I don't have time for that. And then you spend 4 hours watching Netflix.
Exactly.
And you're like, well, I guess I could have done something, or I could have moved something around so that I actually did the things I wanted to do, versus just waste some time looking at a square.
Yeah. So if you guys, do you have anything else about family and business, Alecia?
I think that's it.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to touch on is, communicating with your family what it is that you're doing. Because 99% of the time, if they understand where you're coming from and what you're doing, they're going to jump on board with you. And if not, if they don't jump on board with you and support you, they're going to at least know where you're coming from. And you just need to open those lines of communication. So saying, hey, during these times, I'm going to be doing this. This is my intention. This is what I'm doing. This is the reason why I'm doing it, and this is what we're building.
Right. So along those lines, there's kind of this, like more people are doing the work from wherever thing. They're like working from coffee shops or working from home, traveling and trying to work at the same time. Some people can do that really, really well. But sometimes what it means is like, oh, I'm kind of spending time with my family and I'm kind of working right now, and you don't end up doing either of them really well.
Yeah.
Which goes back to like being there when you are there. Exactly.
So that's a really, really good point. I'm really glad you brought that up. So yeah, be there. Beingness is a huge thing. It's something that I firmly believe in, that if I'm going to do something, I got to give it 100%, or I better not even give it anything, because I'm not going to become successful.
Right.
So that's what we want to talk about today. That's what we wanted to touch on, is that family versus business, how we operate our lives, how we spend our time, and how we actually control our time with that. If you have any questions, any comments, drop them below. I'd love to get back to you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, anything else, hit that subscribe button.